Is humankind on the verge of open extraterrestrial contact? And if so, is the current disclosure movement a first step towards revealing a collective of non-terrestrial intelligences working together within a galactic federation? For more than 60 years, alternative media has explored the idea of a galactic federation. From popular sci-fi shows to individuals who claim to be in communication with extraterrestrial intelligences, the possibility of a galactic federation as reality has been made more significant with its acknowledgement by the former general and head of Israel's Defense Ministry's Space Directorate, Chaim Eshed, when he publicly proclaimed, "Earthlings have been in contact with extraterrestrials from a galactic federation."
In December 2020, Chaim Eshed, who is a retired Israeli security chief, talked to the Jerusalem Post and said, there is a galactic federation and they've been involved with human affairs, but they're staying hidden right now because we're not ready for them. And they want us to know they're here to observe us, and they're very interested in the fabric of the universe, and we need to know more about the fabric of the universe. Well, that's pretty extraordinary.
Former Canadian Minister of National Defense and longtime Member of Parliament, the late Honorable Paul Hellyer, was the first and only cabinet-ranking official from a G8 nation to publicly state his belief in extraterrestrials and the alleged Galactic Federation of Aliens.
Well, I only know about the Galactic Federation, but they are concerned about what's going on in the world, and they have been working through individuals. They say, you clean up your act. You're in charge, it's your planet, and if it comes to a dead end, it will be because you let it or made it a dead end.
Even in my conversations I had with the late Paul Hellyer, he told me that we had extraterrestrials helping our scientists on Earth at bases, and there was full cooperation with them. Paul would say that these were part of a galactic federation.
Tim, a tactical advisor to covert analysts in Germany, trying to understand the missions and strategies of non-terrestrial intelligences on Earth, recalls information from a collective of beings in the sixth density that Tim refers to as Being 6.
I also have heard Being 6 talk about some of its members being part of a galactic federation. So there seems to be a lot of truth to it. One of the first things in a dualistic universe that, comes up within species is alliance-ship, which means finding people who support your own position, which I would say is a truth all over the place in the universe. You have like many alliances. The Greys are setting up their own alliance-ship, so to speak, but different other species as well, have contracts with each other. And Being 6 directly spoke about a galactic federation, yes. Which basically makes sense because you have so many cultures and so many different planets and so many different standpoints going on in the universe that it totally makes sense to have some kind of regulatory system that might balance that out. And this is the way I understand a galactic federation. It seems to be quite a complicated situation because you have so many different agendas going on.
While no one can say with certainty when the Galactic Federation was first created, some experts suggest it may have been as much as hundreds of thousands of years ago.
My understanding is that this is the time where there has been a sort of competition, some sort of conflict that started to happen within this galaxy.
Most researchers agree that the Galactic Federation started as a defense treaty from reptilian expansion into our galaxy.
At that time, it was decided or decreed, if you will, that a kind of a neutral organization be put in place to be able to supervise and maintain the order within this galaxy. You have to remember, this galaxy is part of a larger conglomerate of galaxies. and then the universe. So there are larger organizations that are also in charge of maintaining order across the universe. And so when one particular area is struggling with any sort of conflict or issues between species, then that larger organization is going to say, we need some local organization that will supervise this area of the universe and make sure it maintains the order that is necessary.
Through his role as a tactical advisor in the German equivalent of unacknowledged special access programs, Tim has had more than 100 face-to-face encounters with the extraterrestrial species referred to as the Greys, which he describes as having an artificially created body into which they download their individual consciousness. Tim believes they're a benevolent race who have an influence on the Galactic Federation.
The way I understand it is that there's not only one singular Galactic Federation, and it definitely has not, influence over every single part of the universe. It seems to be a construct which seems to be set up for more and more species and planets. But there are also different federations and different interest groups and very strong boundings or loose boundings all over the place in the universe. So I have in-depth knowledge about the federation that the Greys are in, where human military personnel is also engaged and different other warrior-type species. I personally think that this is different than what pop culture and media portrays as Galactic Federation, or even that Galactic Federation that Israel was speaking about. I think they have a different mindset, but I mean, there still seems to be some overlapping influences here and there.
While one might assume that there are ongoing contact scenarios between Federation members and various governmental, military, and interest groups on Earth, countless individuals worldwide also claim contact with Galactic Federation members.
Since the 1950s, we have seen just a sort of a parade, if you will, of people that maintain that they have had encounters with representatives of the Galactic Federation, that they themselves are agents of the Federation, and that they are now bringing forward this message. So what is the role of the individual in this scenario? And part of it is to say, well, if you are receiving that information, to make sure you are the best representative of that information, that you're not just saying things that are coming off the top of your head, that there is some kind of backup for what you're saying. I mean, if you're going to put yourself out like that, you're willing to be put on a stand and tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And so we have to be sure that what the individuals are bringing forward does have some connection to reality, let's say. And that, to me, is sort of tricky, because individuals don't carry the clout that a government does. And so it's a sort of a David versus Goliath scenario. But if you put together multiple individuals, multiple eyewitnesses that have all seen the same thing and are carrying essentially the same message, now that's a whole different story. And that's what's happening today.
Matthias de Stefano expands on the idea of the Galactic Federation as a group of species who share the same ideals, to include entire planets as one consciousness. He calls this the Confederation.
The word confederation actually comes from the Latin and means those who share a faith together, that they trust to one another. So a confederation is basically a group of planets that trust each other, and their agenda is basically to help those planets that are willing or in process of evolution towards consciousness to find their own way of acknowledging themselves. So what they started to do was to work with these planets that were in the path of evolution, so they could share much more data. So it's not that they are having this agenda of helping humans because they love humans or because we are the good ones or whatever. It's just because they see that our planet, like many others, has the potential of sharing a lot of data, a lot of information. Sometimes when you think about the Galactic Federation, you have to try to think about it like if you are talking about your own brain, trying to figure out something and connecting neurons, data, and improving the way in which you understand the reality around you.
According to researchers, the Galactic Federation is comprised of countless species and civilizations. The ones most familiar to humanity are the Andromedans, Arcturians, Sirians, Pleiadians, and Felines. While other councils, alliances, and associations exist to work together on various projects and agendas, which may also include Galactic Federation members, the core members of the peaceful inner circle include these 5.
The Galactic Federation includes tens of thousands of different categories. In my work, the Arcturians would be one category as being the midway intelligence between the planetary systems of the 3rd dimension and those of the higher dimensions. Another would be the Andromedans. There would be those who create amazing spacecraft that would require them to do the building in outer space because they're dealing with molecular relationships on multiple levels, going through electromagnetic spectrums. Another, of course, would be the Pleiadians that come from what we would call in the indigenous tradition, the 7 Sisters, or the Planetary Association, of emphasizing the artistic and the holistic realm of creation.
The Galactic Federation is made up of all those beings trying to help humanity right now. They're not designed just for us, but that's the ones that are focusing right now on our development. And the Arcturians are a key part to that. There's other races as well that are part of that. Those connected with Sirius, for example, the star system Sirius, those connected with the Pleiadians. These are all intelligences that are here now, influencing our technology, our consciousness, so we can grow.
Another major player in the Galactic Federation is the Pleiadians. The Pleiadians also play a very important role in the galaxy. The Pleiades have a very, very large mixture of species right there. I feel like the Pleiadians are the most knowledgeable about the galaxy.
There are many members of this confederation, but each one of them has a very different way to relate to each other. For example, one of the main members are the Pleiadians, that were basically the ones that moved everyone to create it. For example, the Pleiadians saying, we need to download this information. The Arcturians saying, okay, we know how to make a package for this information. And the Sirians saying, okay, we know how to build a reality around that package so it could be improved. So basically, they are the main ones that designed this idea of putting together many of those concepts and information that came from other worlds and other solar systems.
In an unexpected, spontaneous download from extraterrestrial intelligences with whom Marina Jacobi is in contact, she shares information regarding the prominent species of the Galactic Federation.
When you say Galactic Federation, understand that in the evolutionary moment, every single perspective of reality has a representative. Each family, so-called galactic family, realizes that you cannot be disengaged with consciousness itself. And in order to continue your evolutionary process of expansion, you must go in the next level of understanding. Once you connect to that frequency, so you shall see that reality for yourself.
If humanity has the chance to utilize their biological bodies and to utilize their dualistic way of perceiving reality, then they can grow from that. So what they did, and they meaning higher frequential beings, being 6 if you want to name it, they had an embargo, a frequential embargo surrounding Earth, meaning this planet, this planetary life sphere that we are on right now is only capable of displaying life forms and data that comes from level 1, 2, 3, and 4 consciousness, but is not able to capable of receiving direct influence from level 5, 6, and 7. And that, is the chance, the opportunity that life on this planet needed in order to grow individually. That being said, the Earth is now heading towards a situation in the universe where higher frequencies are allowed and directly influencing this planet and its vibrational field, which makes it possible for having direct influences by higher frequencies in the upcoming time.
The Galactic Federation has been in contact with humanity longer than anyone truly knows. Consensus amongst experts suggests that their agenda is to aid in our conscious evolution. But will humanity ever become aware of our galactic family through some kind of public disclosure? Or is it possible that hints of a Galactic Federation have already made their way into mainstream media via TV and film?
We know that intelligence agencies like to use movies and television to disseminate certain truths and ideas that might be unknown to the public. Is it possible that they use shows like Star Trek to convey the concept of a Galactic Federation?
In the 1970s, through colleagues of mine working with Andrei Puharich in New York, we had the opportunity to have Gene Roddenberry, the famous Gene Roddenberry, part of one of our study groups, and he heard the terminology used frequently by one of my colleagues, Phyllis Schlemmer. And at that time, he was so intrigued by the paraphysical phenomena that happened in the rooms that we were being used for telepathic communication, that he went on, I am told, to expand this later in life into what is called Deep Space Nine, utilizing the terminology of the Nine, or the higher cosmic entities behind, shall we say, the thoughts and the efforts of the Galactic Federation to guide humanity into a higher level.
And it is through Phyllis that we gain some of these little tidbits and these little elements that Gene Roddenberry was able to incorporate into Star Trek, into Deep Space Nine, to help prime the human mind to this evolutionary concept, to this growth, that we are not alone in this galaxy, that there is this greater council watching over us and protecting us, but they can't interfere with us until we are ready to be joining them, until we're ready to have our evolutionary shift in technology to grow into this higher state of being and join the Galactic Federation at large. Now, what may be that the reason why we see this logo popping up in all of the World Space Agency is that it is a salute to this original Andromedan Council and the Galactic Federation that we learned about from the Council of Nine through the medium Phyllis Schlemmer in these various meetings with Gene Roddenberry and other folks. And it just kind of made its way and dispersed itself throughout the world so that we can be aware of it.
Since space agencies' logos worldwide integrate the A-shaped symbol, one might question why our current cylindrical rocket-shaped technology isn't depicted instead.
If we look at the logos of many different space organizations on Earth, we notice that there's this A shape to it. And it's interesting to find out that this A shape may actually refer back to this Andromedan Council. It's just a hint to all of us that the Andromedan Council still has a place and a role in the development of human technologies and human civilizations as we're growing into the new age.
What's really interesting is that the shape of this particular logo, regardless of the language that these countries represent, because a lot of language have different characters. For instance, the Chinese characters don't look anything like the Russian characters that don't look anything like English. But they all use the same A symbol. My understanding with this is that I think this is just a direct correlation of this A symbol coming from a higher extraterrestrial language. So a lot of people don't realize this, but language here on Earth didn't originate here on Earth. Language here on Earth originated from extraterrestrial beings that came to Earth, maybe hundreds of thousands of years ago to teach Earth people civilization, and that included language.
More than seeing the A-shaped symbol here on official space agency logos, researchers suggest that there's a potential connection between these logos and our closest neighboring constellations. Might there be significance to the specific star clusters appearing on government insignias?
It's interesting when we look at some of the space agencies' version of the symbol. It differs slightly from the Star Trek logo in that there are many different stars depicted. And having these constellations on this symbol for space travel and space agencies can't be just a coincidence.
When we look at the Space Force logo, they're essentially telling us with the symbology that they're getting help, that they have outside influences. And so you might say that this similarity in these logos are telling you that at the highest levels of government, they're working in unison together.
When we look at these logos for the space agencies and we see the 3 stars that are on them, our contactees give us a different perspective of what those 3 stars could mean. They suggest that those 3 stars are for Andromeda, Arcturus, and Lyra, which are 3 of the big players of the Galactic Federation that have a big part in the role of humanity and our evolution and protecting us here on our planet.
I think because the Galactic Federation, who is representing the Andromeda Council, they're kind of like an arm of the Andromeda Council. They've been in contact with certain Earth agencies. Earth agencies have had access to this logo, and so they adopted it as their own logo. Maybe in the hopes that Monday they'll be a member of the Galactic Federation. But there's definitely a connection there.
Regarding why an A like for Andromeda or that connection would be in many agencies, the information brings me to a much more human concept regarding Andromeda. Basically, Andromeda, Andros, it's basically the divine being that protected men. And when you see the skies, you see this soft light when it's very clear, which is Andromeda, far away. So it's like a spirit flying in between the stars, protecting our realities. If anyone is trying to protect the skies from something that is coming, they would use a symbol of Andromeda to say they are the ones taking care of men.
As humankind moves closer to understanding our place within the greater galactic community, our own readiness on both an individual and collective level may be the determining factor for success.
As the open contact scenario unfolds, I really believe that there's 2 paths that it could potentially take. One is the path of humanity joining what I refer to as the dragon, where we merge with technology and we all become a single hive mind. That's something talked about by the US government and promoted by the US government, that you lose your individuality, that there is one human being on this planet, one race, that is it, subservient to the dragon and the technology. The other path is where we retain our organic and spiritual selves, and we plug into a spiritual hierarchy, a spiritually motivated Galactic Federation that assists us in becoming more like an angelic species, maintaining our biology, but at the same time merging more with higher frequencies of light rather than technology. I don't think they coexist. I think they could possibly intersect slightly, but I don't think they coexist. I think it's an either-or situation, and we are right now, in the next 5 years, deciding which that is going to be. And there they will find the Federation waiting.
It's not only the Galactic Federation that's coming here, it's also those who are doing their own thing, checking us out, doing their own medical experiments on our biology. It's complex, they're different intelligences, but thank goodness there is a greater galactic whole who's also watching us, part of the Galactic Federation who's here to help, and we're all part of that greater holism in terms of the consciousness ability to understand our own development.
Some of us are still believing we're alone in the universe. So it is going to take some time and unfortunately to unfold very gradually, I would say, even from now moving forward.
We are now closing a whole history from the first time that we got in contact with the Confederation. So it means that we have gone through a whole process of inner process, and now we are ready to go out. This is the first time that people are willing to go to the moon, to Mars, and so the planet is kind of ready to go beyond. And I don't say humans, it's the planet. The awareness of the planet that is saying, I am bigger than this. So that's why humans are trying to leave the planet, not because we don't like it, but because it's moment to spread. This means that the whole planet is getting ready to open themselves to other realities, to something bigger. But I wouldn't say that would happen in our lifetime. I think we have a lot of things to do before we can get in touch with them. We have problems with our neighbors and our families. We cannot deal with others.
Everyone, everywhere that makes a willful decision to be part of a galactic federation in a harmonious and peacemaking and balancing way contributes something to this community, everyone. Basically, everyone watching this can grow and be together. Just this singular thought contributes something to this Galactic Federation in the way that higher frequentials understand it. Everyone can contact the species or any other species and ask for help, or even ask for a positive outcome, which is basically the all shift happening now concept that we're doing.
The Galactic Federation exists because the nature of life is one of cooperative help, the ability of brotherly and sisterly love. And so our understanding of the Galactic Federation would be like looking at brothers and sisters who are cosmic cousins on the other side of the pond of space, and brothers and sisters who have learned to achieve results by going through the quagmire that we find ourselves in. We're part of humanity wants new science, and part of it wants old spirituality. Ultimately, science and spirituality do merge together, requires an upgrade of our consciousness. And so the Galactic Federation is here to provide the ways and means for the upgrade of our consciousness, that we can be, shall we say, using more of that great talent that is in our brain, to be using more of that powerful spirit vibration of our heart, and ultimately to having the vision that we're all one species growing up as Homo universalis, which means universal humanity in the fuller sense of exploring the universe and being citizens in this greater universe.
As citizens of this greater universe, we may not see an official disclosure regarding the Galactic Federation from our governments just yet. Still, evidence suggests that a Galactic Federation and the various species within it have been influencing and continue to influence individuals and a greater humanity on Earth to this day. As we look to our galactic family amongst the stars, there are many people who find comfort knowing that they are looking back. Next time on Deep Space, we explore one of the most controversial species in history, the Greys.